A homegrown Indian brand, a global footprint across more than 30 countries. Sounds impossible? Dogsee did just that. But this Bengaluru-based company didn't start in a corporate boardroom. It started with a dog named Mowgli. Founders Bhupendra Khanal, a software entrepreneur, and Sneh Sharma, a marketing professional, were frustrated pet parents. They wanted a safe, preservative-free treat for Mowgli. During a trip to the Himalayas, they discovered Churpi, a traditional rock-hard cheese made from yak and cow milk. At a local dairy, they heard that dogs frequently stole the cheese and chewed on it. That observation sparked an idea. Could Churpi become the safe, natural treat they had been looking for? They took this traditional Indian cheese to pet markets across the world. By FY25, Dogsee had grown into a 35.7 crore rupees business. How did one unusual product from India become something customers across different markets would notice, trust, and buy? Dogsee had to turn a distinctive product into a clear and credible reason to choose it. That meant deciding who the brand was for, what it should be known for, how it would stand apart, and what would make customers believe it. That is brand positioning. In simple terms, who are the customers you want to win? What need do you want your brand to own? What will customers compare you with? Why should they choose you? And what proof makes that promise believable? But a position developed in one market still has to travel. Expansion often brings a new set of questions. New markets bring different customers, habits, expectations, and signals of value. A brand must remain recognizable without becoming rigid. Ever wondered why McDonald's has a Makalu Tikki burger in India? The core stays, the offer adapts. That is the standardization adaptation lens. It helps a brand protect what must remain consistent while changing what is needed to connect with customers in a new market. Dogsee made these choices as it expanded, market by market. It built a global identity without letting go of what made the brand distinctly its own. But that journey begins with an even earlier decision: whether to expand at all. Many founders aspire to expand globally and often ask themselves, should we enter new markets? Why now, and when is the right time? Dogsee too faced these questions. Let's see how its expansion journey unfolded and the branding decisions it had to make along the way. The first question they needed to answer was why customers should choose their brand. Dogsee began with Churpi, a traditional Himalayan food that could also work as a natural, long-lasting chew for dogs. It was distinctive. It had a compelling origin. But would pet parents and the pet care market actually want it? Were the founders thinking of exports when they were trying to find these answers?
When we started Dogsee, we didn't even think of exports. We, like normal founders, we thought that, let's first try it, see whether the product is good enough or not. And we launched it with the vets in India. We started doing online, Amazon, Flipkart, our own website. And since it's a dental treat, we had to talk to a lot of doctors and then our pet, parents, friends, to see the feasibility and acceptance in the Indian market.
The product was finding acceptance in India. Then came an unexpected signal from outside the country. An international buyer had discovered Dogsee online and wanted to understand how the product was made and what it contained. They were surprised that it was human-grade, high in protein, preservative-free, and almost a single ingredient. They had been looking for an alternative to rawhide. That inquiry helped Dogsee understand why the product could be relevant beyond India. The buyer was looking for a cleaner, healthier alternative to rawhide. Dogsee's Himalayan origin made the product distinctive, while its composition made that difference relevant and credible. Dogsee recognized that the inquiry could become more than a single order. It offered a way to generate new revenue while learning how international customers, buyers, and markets worked. The next decision was how to pursue that opportunity: through private label, through the Dogsee brand, or by finding a way to do both. Here is how co-founder Sneh Sharma describes the decision.
Then we thought, okay, there is an opportunity, but we still, till that time, we didn't think that, we'll launch Dogsee. But we thought, why say no to the revenue, which is incoming. So we started supplying to some international people as B2B sales, as private label. And we started to learn about the country and about pet industry overall in different countries. And this is how we started.
Dogsee recognized that private label could do more than generate an early order. It could provide an entry route, bring in revenue, and help the founders understand international buyers, category expectations, and how different markets operated. For any founder, that raises an important question. Are you using private label only to fulfill orders or also to learn what it will take to build a larger business in that market? Dogsee also saw that access alone would not build the business it ultimately wanted. If the product traveled only under someone else's label, the revenue might grow, but the recognition, customer trust, and long-term value would belong largely to another brand. So the next question was not whether private label was good or bad. It was, how could Dogsee use the partnership to learn and grow, while ensuring that its own name also began building a place in the market? Their UK partner wanted its own label. Dogsee was willing to supply it, but not at the cost of keeping the Dogsee name invisible. Here is how Sneh explains their decision.
Negotiated with them, so they wanted a private label. And by the time we were doing private labels with other people, and we had decided that, now this time, let's try Dogsee. So we convinced them that if you want a supply from us, you have to launch Dogsee, and if you want private label, it's okay. So you can launch both. So, carry two brands under your umbrella, because they were a distributor kind of a brand. So they were selling other brands also. So we thought, this is the right opportunity and right partner for us. And they were okay with it. So they launched their brand called Yakers. So Yakers is still the #1 brand in UK. So they carried both, so Dogsee and Yakers, and it became our first opportunity to go global.
That was the branding decision. Private label could continue to open doors, generate business, and deepen market learning. But the Dogsee name also had to travel with the product, so the company could begin building recognition, trust, and long-term value under its own brand. Dogsee did not treat private label and its own brand as an all-or-nothing choice. It used B2B and private label relationships as one route to market while building Dogsee as the customer-facing brand. For founders, the decision is similar. Are you entering a market only as a supplier, or are you also creating a path for your own brand to capture value over time? As the Dogsee name traveled into more markets, the next branding decision became harder. Customers in different countries did not always respond to the same product, message, or signals of quality. What should remain unmistakably Dogsee, and what should change? By this stage, Dogsee was no longer treating international sales as a series of isolated orders. The response from overseas buyers, export revenue, and early market learning had shown the founders that international expansion could become a serious path to scale. But that did not mean entering every market that showed interest. Before committing, Dogsee had to understand the opportunity. Here is how Sneh articulates it.
So each country is different, so you have to be very sure that which country you are entering, what are the kind of people, the demand, whether the size of the market is good enough or not, what is the price point, who are you competing with, what will be your channels to sales, whether you are selling yourself or whether you're going by a distributor. If there is a distributor, you have to rely on his intelligence a lot, that what he knows about the market, because he knows the market better than you. So you ask the right questions to him. And then we spoke about the logistics and the warehousing and certifications, regulations. So these are the things you have to map before you decide to, enter a market.
This research helped Dogsee decide whether a market was worth pursuing. But some of the most important learning came only after the product reached the market. Customers in different markets did not experience the same product in the same way. In the US, where larger dog breeds were common, customers needed larger chews and pack formats. In Japan, smaller dogs and different buying preferences made smaller formats more suitable. Packaging, language, product information, and the way benefits were explained also had to reflect how customers and buyers evaluated pet products locally. That created the central branding question. What should Dogsee protect across every market, and what should it adapt? Dogsee's Himalayan origin, natural ingredients, health-led promise, and product quality gave the brand its meaning. Product size, format, packaging, language, information, and channel choices could change, as long as the underlying promise remained intact. This is the logic of standardization, adaptation. Keep the brand core fixed, adapt how the market experiences and understands it. The purpose was not to create a different Dogsee in every country. It was to remove the barriers that prevented customers in each market from recognizing the same value. By January 2022, Dogsee had expanded to more than 30 countries. But a broad footprint is not the same as scale. As Dogsee learned where demand was strongest, the US emerged as its largest market. By 2026, the company said the US was contributing nearly 70% of its revenue. Capital supported this shift from international reach to deeper scale. By 2025, Dogsee had raised about $22 million in funding. Its $8 million Series B was intended to expand manufacturing capacity, build a new production facility, and strengthen distribution in international markets. In 2026, Dogsee also announced plans to raise 300 crore rupees for its next phase of manufacturing, product launches, working capital, and marketing. The founder lesson is clear. Research before entry, learn while expanding, adapt what customers need, protect what makes the brand distinctive, and concentrate resources where the evidence is strongest. That is how expansion becomes a growth engine. International expansion had given Dogsee access to customers, distribution, and learning across multiple markets. As the company built greater depth in its strongest markets, that reach created another opportunity for growth, serving more customer needs through a broader portfolio. But moving beyond the original Himalayan chew brought a more difficult branding decision. New products could help Dogsee serve more pet parents, life stages, and wellness needs. Each addition also carried a risk. Would it deepen what customers already trusted Dogsee for, or make the brand harder to understand? That risk is easy to underestimate. A good example is Pond's. The brand meant cream, talc, and floral fragrance. Then came Pond's toothpaste. It bombed. Customers could not accept it. The lesson was clear. A new product can fail when everything people already associate with the brand works against it. Dogsee needed its extensions to do the opposite. Each new product had to make its natural health position more credible, more useful, and more valuable. As Sneh Sharma explains,
If your company remains the same, that what you are essentially building, because you can't change. For example, if we are a health focused company, we always want to launch something which is extremely healthy for pets. There will be, if we enter, for example, Brazil, we'll see that there is a lot of rawhide, or people are feeding things which are not aligning with our portfolio. So I'll not change that just for that country. So I'll just see that within my portfolio, what do I shift so that it matches with that country's requirement.
this boundary still gave the company considerable room to grow. A broader portfolio could help Dogsee serve more needs across breeds, life stages, and markets. It could also give existing customers more reasons to buy from the brand and make greater use of the distribution and trust Dogsee had already built. For founders, the question is, does this product give our customers another credible reason to choose us? Dogsee expanded from its original Himalayan chew into different sizes, softer formats, puffies, functional treats, supplements, and grooming products. Some extensions remained very close to the original product, allowing Dogsee to serve different breeds, life stages, and chewing needs. Customers could easily understand why these products belonged under the same brand. Other extensions moved Dogsee further from its original product. Functional treats and supplements addressed needs such as hip and joint health, skin and coat care, allergies, and everyday nutrition. Grooming and hygiene products extended the brand into a different part of pet wellness. The farther Dogsee moved from the original chew, the more proof the new product needed. The harder question was, why should customers trust Dogsee to offer this? That is where brand positioning became a growth filter. Dogsee had to ask, does this product serve a health or wellness need the brand wants to own? Does it meet the standards of safety, naturalness, and quality customers expect from Dogsee? Does the company have the product capability and evidence needed to deliver that promise credibly? And will the new product strengthen what Dogsee is already known for? A strong extension adds utility, evidence, and another reason to trust the brand. A weak extension may create some sales while making the brand less clear. For Dogsee, the opportunity was to build a broader pet wellness portfolio around naturalness, health, safety, and trust. That allowed Dogsee to move beyond Churpi without abandoning what had made the brand distinctive. The product portfolio became wider. The meaning of the brand remained focused. That is the discipline behind a strong brand extension. Grow the business without weakening the reason customers chose the brand in the first place. Dogsee's journey leaves founders with a clear set of lessons. Recognize a credible market signal, but test it before committing deeply. Use partnerships to create access and learning, but build your own brand if you want to capture recognition, trust, and long-term value. Adapt the product, message, and route to market, but protect what makes the brand distinctive. And do not confuse a wide footprint with scale. Invest more deeply where the evidence is strongest. Brand positioning and standardization adaptation help us understand those choices. But Dogsee's growth came from combining them with operating discipline. Market research, product quality, certifications, logistics, and execution. Dogsee began with a deeply Indian product. It did not become global by hiding that identity. It became global by making that identity relevant, credible, and valuable to customers across markets. And what began as an unexpected overseas signal became something much bigger, a disciplined engine for growth. That is the real power of a strong brand. Not just to travel, but to help the business scale.